Hey, what's going on guys, it's Bagas here, and I'm back! Well, I wasn't really gone for all that long, but whatever. Anyways, today I thought to start off a new year of videos and reviews. We would review what many people consider to be the American version of Walking With Dinosaurs. That's right, today we're finally going to be reviewing When Dinosaurs Roamed America. Also, before I continue, I apologize for the potato quality footage. I, for the life of me, could not find a higher quality version, which is also the other reason why I've been putting this off for the longest time. So yeah, sorry about that. When Dinosaurs Roamed America is a nature documentary style film that basically compresses Walking with Dinosaurs into a 90-minute film, showcasing the Mesozoic from the Triassic up until the KT event, and the series is narrated by John Goodman. Also similar to Walking with Monsters, this film has its own editing gimmick in the form of X-ray views of the dinosaurs that are used as a way to visualize the anatomy of the dinosaur. There are also scenes where we get cutaways of paleontologists talking to the camera about some science facts sprinkled in between. After an opening introduction, we start in the Triassic, and this segment doesn't really have a plot to it because we mainly just follow a Coelophysis wandering around the forest and encountering other creatures along the way. But honestly, I don't really mind that. This opening does a good job at getting the audience immersed into the film, and it takes its time establishing the tone and other elements, such as the X-ray gimmick and the cutaways of paleontologists. Introducing these aspects as early as possible informs the audience what they're in for while also just getting it out of the way. Therefore, the rest of the film can be more streamlined. Honestly, this is probably one of the best ways to slowly do an exposition dump without it being too obvious. The segment also ends with setting up the next segment in the early Jurassic. This segment jumps straight into the action, with a hunt between a pack of Centaurus and Ankylosaurus. Right away, there is a very noticeable change in the pacing, and I really like that. Just as the Centaurus managed to corner the Ankylosaurus, a Dilophosaurus appears, and can I just point out, this is one of the only documentaries that depict Dilophosaurus. And actually, as we'll see later on, this documentary also has other dinosaurs that you rarely see in other dinosaur documentaries. Also, another side note, the Dilophosaurus has the coolest roar I've ever heard. Anyways, the Dilophosaurus kills the Ankylosaurus, but just as it and its offspring is feeding, an intruder appears and there's a brief skirmish between them. Later on, the Centaurus return to scavenge before they are chased off again by the Dilophosaurus. Also, I really like this part at the end.
Ankylosaurus have nowhere to go but up.
It's some nice foreshadowing that also has some clever wordplay in it. The next segment is the late Jurassic, and it takes a much slower but more thoughtful pace, for lack of a better word, that has some small action sequences in between. It starts off by introducing the setting in the dry season as we see a family of dinosaurs digging for water in a dried up pond before being ambushed by a Ceratosaurus that manages to kill one of the offspring. Then later on, we also see a pair of Stegosaurus also searching for food, but then the Ceratosaurus shows up, only this time, it's the one that gets bodied. Then the rain comes, followed by the arrival of a herd of Apatosaurus. Also,
This is Dino of the Flintstones.
very clever. We also get to witness an Allosaurus as it fails to hunt a young Apatosaurus, so it instead kills the Ceratosaurus who was going after the Dinosaurs family again. As the rainy season starts to end, the Apatosaurs begin their migration, but one of them trips on a rock and then is gorged on by the Allosaurus. So this is where Dinosaur Planet got its inspiration. Also, I think this is a good time to mention how this show can be awfully brutal at times. Like, for the most part, it's all calm and fun, but then when an action scene happens, it gets really brutal with the kills. But to be entirely honest, I like how drastically the tone can shift. Aside from that, I also really like how the two seasons provide a nice contrast between the setting, and it kind of splits the segment into two, and I really like how we can compare the tone and the atmosphere between the two seasons. This segment also makes the most of its longer duration to flush out a few interesting aspects and just to show more of this prehistoric world, and it serves as excellent world building. Although it did feel like it dragged on for a tiny bit too long, but that's just primarily because I prefer faster paced films. In stark contrast to the previous segment, the mid-Cretaceous segment has a much faster pace. It also has a very interesting way of introducing its dinosaur characters, where one introduction leads to the next. We first get introduced to a herd of Zuniceratops before it then transitions to a pack of Dromaeosaurs eating a dead Zuniceratops. Then a loner appears and is chased off by the pack, and in its escape it encounters an Orthorhynchus, which I think we can all agree is one of the weirdest dinosaurs. Also, this is one of the first documentaries to ever have feathered dinosaurs, and it really kicked off the feather revolution over 20 years ago. We then get a battle over dominance between two Zuniceratops that ends with the leader being impaled in the frill by a younger male, leaving him vulnerable to the raptors, well, if it weren't for the herd, that is. Later on, a thunderstorm appears, spooking the herd. With the old male left behind and injured, he's easy pickings for the raptors. This then escalates to a large forest fire, and here's where my one nitpick rears its head. You see, the raptors, instead of running away from the fire, stay to eat the carcass. Now personally, I don't know any animal that would eat their food rather than escaping from a forest fire, so I really don't think the raptors, also considering how intelligent they are, would just ignore the danger just because they're hungry. But because of that, to say the least, they get toasted. Anyways, aside from that, the forest fire really ups the ante and serves as a great setup for the destruction we'll see later on. The final segment in the late Cretaceous starts by introducing all of his dinosaurs at once, including Triceratops, Anatotitan, Quetzalcoatlus, and of course Tyrannosaurus rex. And I'm so happy I can finally make this comparison, because when you compare this design to the Walking With Dinosaurs one, which if you didn't know already came out at around the same time, there is a clear distinction on which one is superior. Anyways, we see juvenile T-Rex unsuccessfully hunt a herd of Triceratops, and I like how this serves to demystify the T-Rex, which I'm pretty sure I said in another review, but I don't remember which. But it shows how not every hunt is successful no matter what predator you are and how fearsome you are. Also, after this, for some reason we get this horror atmosphere as the juvenile walks through the forest back to its family, and I really don't know what's the purpose of this scene. Well, I guess the horror element of the scene. In the morning, we see the family of T-Rex hunt the herd of Anatotitan, with the juvenile separating the individuals and luring it to the jaws of the mother, which if you couldn't tell already, Dinosaur Planet also recreated this. Man, Discovery Channel must really like recycling their things. The film ends with the KT event and another one about Walking With Dinosaurs. This time we actually do get to see the impact, and the visuals are fittingly apocalyptic. We also get to see a little bit of the aftermath, which, like I said in my Dinosaurs Alive review, is something that not a lot of documentaries focus on, so I'm glad they included it, at least a little bit of it here. Also, the final testimony to the dinosaurs really hits home how amazing these creatures were, especially this line.
It's unlikely anything so huge or captivating will ever pass this way again.
But also that their extinction gave rise to our evolution. It's a really beautiful note to leave the film on. When Dinosaurs Roamed America really does live up to its nickname of being the American version of Walking With Dinosaurs. It takes all the strengths of the Walking With Dinosaurs and compacts it into a smaller package. For starters, the designs are overall on the same level as Walking With Dinosaurs, with some even improving. And while it doesn't have that same charm that Walking With Dinosaurs had in the form of the use of animatronics, I think the quality of the visuals makes up for that. The CGI still holds up to this day, and while my footage does not do it justice in the least, trust me, it's still really good. Pacing wise is another thing that the film does really well, and actually is a highlight for me. Since each segment has its own pace, it makes each one more memorable and have its own identity and distinction from the other segments. Also, because of this, the overall film has excellent pacing since there are slower scenes that are balanced by, quick rapid fire action. It allows the audience to not get bored while also giving them time to breathe between the faster paced action. The extra editing gimmick was also executed really well, as they give a visual representation of the anatomy of the dinosaurs the narration is referring to that might be kind of hard to imagine. The cutaways of paleontologists talking to the camera also allows for more insight into the real-life discoveries and evidence behind the segments, and they also give a more direct science facts that the segments might not be able to fit in. Also, what makes both of them work is that they are placed in the parts of the segments that feel like a good stopping points, therefore not detracting from what the segment is trying to portray. And they're also infrequent enough that they don't become annoying and instead become more memorable. It's a great example of how sometimes less really is more. The segments themselves also do a good job at portraying the dinosaurs. None of them really have any complicated stories, but what they did have worked really well within the film, especially considering the duration they had to work with. However, I do feel like that the short duration is both a pro and a con, because on one hand it gives the segments a more focused, straight to the point type progression. It also means we don't really get to see a lot of anything else that isn't directly important to the plot. And what I mean by that is that it doesn't have like those little moments or interactions that would give more enrichment and depth to the world of dinosaurs. And to give an example from Walking With Dinosaurs, the mother Rex feeding her babies by regurgitating food is an example of one of these more smaller interactions that gives more character to the film, or I guess the series. Aside from that, When Dinosaurs Roamed America is still really good, and really my criticisms are really just nitpicks, because overall the film does a good job in encompassing the American history of the dinosaurs into a feature-length film that feels complete despite its short duration. And if you somehow haven't watched it, do so. It'll be 100% worth your time. Alright, you know the drill by now. Tier list time. Quality wise, I give it a 4.7 because the film does a really good job at portraying the history of the dinosaurs into a 90-minute film, and it does it very efficiently. And a big part of this is because of the excellent pacing. Since each segment has its own pacing, it gives them more distinction, and each segment becomes more memorable that way. And since this varied pacing makes the film feel, it doesn't make the film feel too fast or too short. It feels like you've experienced 1.5 hours of just dinosaur content. And also the X-ray gimmick and the cutaways to paleontologists were also well done, because they like I said, they came in parts of the story that really feel like good stopping points, so therefore it doesn't like cut up the story in a very clunky way, which in some other documentaries don't do very well. And they're also, they don't appear all that much, so they don't become annoying or repetitive, and instead each one becomes more memorable and distinct. Entertainment wise, I give it a 4.6. The action scenes are very memorable, and the slower paced scenes interweaved with the faster paced action prevents the audience from being too bored. And pretty much the action scenes themselves are memorable just for the sake of how brutal they can be at times, because yeah, some scenes definitely have some brutalities in them. Rewatchability wise, I give it a 4.6. It's only an hour and 30 minutes, but because it's all in one go into film, I've said this before with much of the dinosaurs, it feels longer than, just 3 episodes, like Chased by Sea Monsters or something. However, because it's split into two segments, it weirdly, I'm trying to say stuff, but I can't. It really doesn't feel as long as something like, March of the Dinosaurs, because since it's kind of split apart into segments, you can kind of stop after a segment, which, is what I did for writing the script. But, I don't know, because of that, it doesn't feel as long. Because if you're doing it like me, you don't instantly experience a 1.5 hour film. You kind of experience a bunch of different segments that when combined feel like 1.5 hours. I don't know if that made any sense, but we'll roll with it. And on its own, it's entertaining enough. Well, it's very entertaining, I will say. And at some parts, I feel like it is more entertaining than One with Dinosaurs, just because I think it has more faster paced scenes as opposed to slow ones. And it depends on what you really like. If you like slower paced scenes, then this film also has that. And if you are a guy like me who prefers faster paced stuff, then this film also provides you with that. And it's just really good. It's just really good. And so it'll make for fun rewatches. And like I said, if you really just want a shorter version of Walking With Dinosaurs that also exclusively focuses on American dinosaurs, then this will do it for you. And as for my personal opinion, I give it a 4.4. It's not one of my personal favorites, but like Walking With Dinosaurs and really the original Walking With series trilogy, it's a classic, and it will always have a special place in my heart. And yeah. So that brings us up to a total score of 18.3, giving it the same score as Chased by Dinosaurs, I believe. and putting it in the A tier. Wow, I just messed up the outro. Anyways, hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to leave a like and I can't speak today. I don't know what you know. I know what it is. I have too much adrenaline right now. I need to find a way to calm myself down doing oh my god doing these recording sessions. I need to find a way to calm myself down. In fact, if some of the segments might be a bit too fast or I can't even understand what I'm saying, I might re-record them. So yeah, I need to find a way to calm myself down. But anyways, I'm back. So it's only been like a week for me. But for you guys, it's been 2 weeks because you're gonna see this on Wednesday. What else do I have to say? And oh yeah. Once again, I apologize for the potato quality footage. I could not find a higher quality version. And if you guys find a high quality version, do let me know. I would appreciate it. And yeah, schedule's probably gonna go back to normal. We're gonna upload on Wednesdays and Sundays. So regular schedule. And I'm gonna try to keep this and the tier list segment shorter, just because it kind of takes up unnecessary time. So I'll just I'll just end the video now, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye. Notifications just went off. Perfect.